Hannah Brooks's 6-year-old almost died after her parents deliberately left her locked in a car for over 3 hours during a heat wave. "We had such a great time without her," her sister said. Hannah didn't cry. She took action. 3 hours later, their lives started to unravel. Hannah was halfway through pretending to care about a spreadsheet when her phone rang. Unknown number. Local. She almost ignored it. Almost. The kind of almost that still wakes you up at 3 in the morning later. "Hannah Brooks?" a man asked when she answered. "Yes. This is Officer Daniels. Your daughter Maya has been brought to the hospital. She's stable, but you need to come immediately." The word stable landed wrong, like a chair missing a leg. "What happened?" Hannah asked. "We'll explain when you arrive," he said. Professional, calm. The kind of calm that means something has already gone very wrong. "One more thing. The vehicle involved is registered to you." The call ended before she could ask what that meant. For a second, she just sat there, phone still pressed to her ear, listening to nothing. Her office kept going around her, keyboards clicking, someone laughing at a joke she would normally pretend to hear. She stood up so fast her chair tipped over. "I have to go," she told her boss, already grabbing her bag. "Emergency." He started to say something supportive. She was already gone. The elevator took forever. The parking garage felt even longer. She ran the last stretch, heart pounding, already halfway into the worst scenarios her brain could manufacture. And then she saw it. Her parking space was empty. She stood there, breathing too hard, staring at the concrete like it might explain itself. Then it clicked. Of course. She'd loaned her car to her sister Tessa. Tessa had called that morning, something about fitting everyone in one car, their second one not being available. Could they please borrow Hannah's since her daughter Maya was coming too? Hannah had said yes, because that's what she always did. She didn't have time to think about it now. She pulled out her phone, ordered a taxi, paced like a trapped animal, while the app cheerfully informed her her driver was 3 minutes away. 3 minutes stretched. She checked the time, checked it again. When the taxi finally pulled up, she yanked the door open and practically fell into the back seat. "Hospital," she said. "My daughter's there." The driver nodded, unbothered. "Traffic's a bit heavy today." Of course it was. The city chose today to be itself. Hannah stared out the window, watching red lights stack up like insults. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She tried calling Mom. No answer. Dad. Nothing. Tessa. Ringing. The hospital doors slid open with that soft, polite sound that feels offensive in moments like this. Inside, everything was too bright, too clean, too calm. "I'm Hannah Brooks," she said to the desk. "My daughter Maya, she was brought in." A nurse checked a screen, looked back at her. "Yes, she's stable. We're running some checks." Stable again. Hannah nodded like that meant something. "She was found alone in a vehicle," the nurse continued, carefully. "Given the circumstances, this has been reported." Reported. Another word that landed heavy. Hannah was asked for ID, then asked to wait, then asked a few questions that sounded casual but weren't. Where had she been today? Who had her daughter? Whose car was it? She answered, truthfully, because she still believed truth mattered. When they finally let her see Maya, she was sitting up on the bed, clutching a paper cup with both hands like it might disappear. Her cheeks were flushed. Her eyes were too big in her face. "Mom," Maya said, and burst into tears. Hannah wrapped herself around her, feeling how small she was, how tightly she clung. Maya shook like she'd been running for miles. Hannah tightened her arms around her and waited. She didn't say anything for a moment, just let Maya cry into her shoulder, because whatever came next, she needed this one small pocket of time where Maya was just her child and nothing else existed. A nurse hovered nearby. "Ms. Brooks," she said gently, "I'm going to explain what happened, okay?" "Yes," Hannah said, too quickly. Her mouth felt dry. The nurse kept her voice calm and precise, the way people do when they're delivering information they've already had to repeat a few times. "Maya was found in a parked car in a public lot," she said. "A passerby noticed a child inside, knocking on the window and crying. They contacted security, who responded and called 911. Maya's fingers curled into Hannah's sleeve. "They arrived and got her out," the nurse continued. "She was conscious, very upset, and overheated. EMS brought her here for evaluation." Hannah stared at her. "How long was she in the car?" "That's still being confirmed by police," the nurse said. "Based on the information we have so far, it wasn't a short period." "Not short. That was enough." "She kept asking where you were," the nurse added. "She was scared." Hannah's chest tightened. She pressed her lips together and nodded. "Physically, she's doing okay," the nurse said. "We're monitoring her and making sure she's hydrated. But because of her age and how she was found, we had to report it. That's standard." Standard. Another word that sounded too small for what it meant. Maya shifted against her. "I waited," she whispered. "I thought they were coming back." "I know," Hannah said, keeping her voice steady. "I know." Officer Daniels stepped into the doorway. He didn't look rushed or angry. He looked neutral, which somehow felt worse. "Ms. Brooks," he said, "when you have a moment, I need to ask you a few questions. We can step into the hall." Maya stiffened. "It's okay," Hannah told her softly. "I'll be right outside." Maya nodded, but her grip tightened before she let go. In the hallway, the officer stood with his notepad tucked under his arm. "This is just initial information," he said. "We'll do a formal statement later." "Okay. Where were you today?" "At work." "And your daughter was with?" "My parents and my sister, Tessa." "And the vehicle she was found in?" "Mine," Hannah said. "I loaned it to them this morning." He nodded once, wrote something down. "Did you give permission for Maya to be left alone in the vehicle at any point?" "No," Hannah said immediately. "Never." He looked up at that. "All right," he said. "We're still establishing a timeline and speaking with everyone involved. We'll be in touch to schedule a full statement." Hannah wanted to ask what that meant, what they thought happened, but his tone made it clear this wasn't the moment. She went back to Maya's room and sat beside her again. Maya was calmer now, sipping from the paper cup, watching Hannah like she needed to make sure she wasn't going anywhere. Hannah pulled out her phone and tried calling Tessa again. This time, she answered. "You should have seen the place," Tessa said right away, bright and breathless. "Noah didn't want to leave." "Where is Maya?" Hannah asked. There was a pause. Not alarm, just the sound of someone deciding how much effort to put into an answer. "She's in the car," Tessa said. "We told her to stay there." Hannah's stomach dropped. "Why?" "Oh, come on," Tessa said, already annoyed. "She was acting up all afternoon, complaining about everything. We needed a break." "A break," Hannah repeated. "Yes," Tessa said. Hannah could hear background noise now, voices, movement, something loud and cheerful. "She wouldn't calm down. She was being dramatic." "And you left her there?" Hannah said. "For a bit," Tessa replied, like this was obvious. "She needed to cool off." "In the car," Hannah said again. "Hannah," Tessa sighed, "don't do that thing where you twist my words. She's fine. She's just sulking." Hannah stared at the wall, trying to keep her voice steady. "How long has she been there?" "I don't know," Tessa said. "We're busy. The other kids are having a great time." Then she laughed, not cruelly, casually. We actually had such a great time without the drama queen. That was when Hannah said, very clearly, Maya is in the hospital. Silence. What? Tessa said. No, she isn't. Police called me, Hannah said. I'm at the hospital with her. That's not possible, Tessa said immediately. We parked in the shade. The window was open. She was alone, Hannah said. Someone else had to call for help. Another pause. This one was different. She's fine though, right? Tessa asked. I mean, she's not actually hurt? Hannah closed her eyes for a second. Define fine, she said. She's alive. There it was. The exhale Hannah could hear through the phone. So nothing really happened, Tessa said quickly. See, you're doing that thing again. You always blow things out of proportion. She was locked in a car for hours, Hannah said. But she's okay, Tessa insisted. You said it yourself. She's fine. And just like that, the fear was gone, replaced by irritation. We didn't do anything wrong, Tessa said. You're turning this into a crisis for no reason. That was the question she chose. Not, what did Maya go through? Not, how scared was she? Just whether this could still be dismissed. Hannah ended the call. For a moment, she sat there with the phone in her hand, listening to the steady beep from somewhere down the hall. It sounded like proof, like time continuing whether anyone deserved it or not. Maya looked up at her from the bed, watching Hannah's face. Are we going home? She asked. Yes, Hannah said. Very soon. Hannah took Maya's hand. It fit entirely inside hers. They hadn't lost track of her for a few minutes. They hadn't made a mistake and fixed it quickly. They had left her long enough for a stranger to notice. Long enough for the police to get involved. Long enough for Hannah's 6-year-old to believe no one was coming back. And once Tessa knew Maya would live, the only thing that mattered was whether this could be made smaller. Hannah stared at the wall across from the bed and felt the shock harden into something steadier. This wasn't the first time Hannah's family had decided something awful wasn't a big deal. It was just the first time they'd done it to her child. That changed everything. If you want to understand why Hannah's family could leave a 6-year-old alone in a car and then shrug about it, you have to understand how they've always handled inconvenience, specifically by assigning it to her. Tessa was 3 years older than Hannah. That mattered, apparently. It mattered when they were kids, and it still mattered now. Tessa was the first, the talented one, the one with big feelings that needed to be nurtured, protected, defended. Hannah was the other one, the adjustable one, the one who could take a hit because, according to Mom and Dad, Hannah was strong. Hannah learned very early that strong meant quiet. There was one memory she kept circling back to now. She hadn't thought about it in years, not actively, but it had always been there, like a bruise you forget until someone presses it. Tessa's birthday party. Hannah was 7. Tessa was 10, old enough to know exactly what she was doing. Hannah had been excited for weeks, that kind of kid excited where you count days on your fingers and plan what you'll wear, even though you only own 3 acceptable outfits. There were balloons, music, a cake Hannah wasn't allowed to touch yet. The house was full of people, loud and warm and busy in that way that makes kids feel like something important is happening. Tessa found Hannah in the hallway while Mom was distracted and Dad was pretending not to hear anything over the music. "Come here," Tessa said. "I want to show you something." Hannah followed her because that's what younger sisters do, because you always believe there's a chance this time will be different. Tessa led her to the storage room near the back of the house. Boxes, old coats, holiday decorations shoved into corners. Tessa pointed at a shelf. "Can you grab that for me?" Hannah stepped inside. The door closed. The lock clicked. Hannah remembered the sound more than anything else. Sharp, final. At first, Hannah thought it was a joke. She laughed and knocked. She waited for Tessa to laugh back and open the door. Tessa didn't. The music from the party thumped through the walls. Voices rose and fell. Hannah called out. She knocked harder. No one heard her, or no one wanted to. Time does something strange when you're a kid and you realize no one is coming. It stretches. It gets heavy. You start to bargain with it. Hannah didn't know how long she was in there. Long enough to stop crying. Long enough to sit on the floor with her knees pulled in, listening to the party she was missing. Eventually, the door opened. Tessa stood there, bored, like she'd just remembered where she'd left Hannah. Hannah ran straight to Mom and Dad. She locked me in, Hannah said. She locked me in the storage room. I couldn't get out. Tessa rolled her eyes. She's lying. Mom frowned, not at Tessa, at Hannah. Why would you do that to yourself? Mom asked. I didn't, Hannah said. She did. Tessa crossed her arms. She didn't want to come to the party. She said it was stupid. Dad sighed, the way he always did when something interfered with his comfort. Enough, Dad said. Don't start drama on your sister's birthday. Hannah remembered standing there, still shaking, watching the story settle into place without her. The version where Tessa was innocent and Hannah was difficult. The version where it was easier to punish Hannah than deal with Tessa. Hannah got grounded, not Tessa, Hannah, for lying, for ruining the mood, for making everything about myself. That was the moment Hannah learned a very important rule in her family. The truth only matters if it's convenient. Hannah didn't bring it up again. There was no point. Every time she tried to explain herself growing up, it just turned into proof that she was too sensitive. So Hannah adapted. She stopped pushing. She stopped arguing. She became agreeable, reliable, the one who smoothed things over. Tessa, meanwhile, was encouraged to follow her passion. Tessa studied art history, then something else creative that sounded impressive and led nowhere. Every time Tessa struggled, it was framed as bravery. When Hannah chose a practical degree and a stable job, it was framed as luck. Hannah married Mark. They built a life that worked. They had Maya. Tessa married Caleb. They had Noah and Grace. Tessa drifted between jobs, always on the verge of finding her calling. Recently, she decided to retrain as a teacher. Art, of course. Something with children. Something that finally sounded stable. Mom and Dad retired, or tried to. They didn't quite have the savings they'd planned. They talked a lot about traveling while we still can, about how time was precious, about how they'd sacrificed so much. So Hannah helped. Hannah sent money every month, toward the mortgage, toward breathing room, toward dreams she wasn't part of, but was apparently responsible for. Tessa couldn't help. She never could. She had kids. She was retraining. She needed support. Hannah told herself this was what functional families did. One person carried more weight, so the whole thing didn't collapse. And now here they were, her daughter alone, her car, her family minimizing it. As Hannah sat in that hospital room, listening to Maya's breathing even out, the memory of that storage room pressed in on her. The same pattern, the same logic. Someone makes a choice. Someone else pays for it. And if Hannah didn't cooperate, Hannah became the problem. Hannah looked down at Maya's hand in hers, small, trusting, still slightly damp from the paper cup she'd been clutching. Hannah thought about how easy it would be for them to tell a story where this was Hannah's fault too. And for the first time in Hannah's life, she didn't feel sad about that. She felt alert. Because this time, Hannah wasn't 7 years old in a storage room. And this time, they were about to find out what happens when Hannah doesn't stay quiet. They were discharged just after sunset. That sounds calm. It wasn't. Maya walked out clutching Hannah's hand like she was afraid the floor might disappear if she let go. The doctor had said all the right things. No lasting physical injury, vitals good, follow up with your pediatrician. Watch for changes in mood. The kind of sentences that look reassuring on paper and feel completely useless when your kid flinches every time a door closes. In the car, Mark's car, not Hannah's, Maya sat in the back seat in absolute silence, staring out the window like she was trying to memorize the route in case she ever had to escape on foot. Mark kept glancing at her in the mirror. "You okay, kiddo?" Mark asked gently. Maya nodded without looking at him. That was worse than if she'd cried. At home, everything felt wrong. The lights were too bright. The couch looked unfamiliar. Maya refused to change out of her clothes at first, like they were armor. When she finally did, she asked if she could sleep with the hallway light on. Then she asked if one of them could sit with her. Then she asked if they could sit closer. Hannah sat on the edge of her bed and let Maya hold her hand while Mark hovered in the doorway, helpless and furious in equal measure. "She keeps apologizing," Mark whispered to Hannah at one point. "For nothing." "I know," Hannah said. "She learned that from somewhere." Maya eventually drifted off, but not deeply. Her breathing hitched every so often, like her body was still waiting for something bad to happen. Hannah watched her sleep and felt that familiar parental madness settle in, the quiet, surgical rage that makes you capable of things you didn't know you could do. Hannah's phone lay on the nightstand, silent. Nothing from Mom. Nothing from Dad. Nothing asking how Maya was. That absence was loud. The next morning, while Maya sat on the couch wrapped in a blanket like a burrito who'd seen some things, Hannah's phone rang. Unknown number again. "This is Officer Daniels," the voice said. "We need to schedule a formal statement, either later today or tomorrow." "Tomorrow," Hannah said without hesitation. Hannah wanted time. Hannah wanted her feet under her. After the call, Hannah stood in the kitchen staring at the counter for a long moment, trying to remember what people did next in situations like this. Drink water, cry, scream into a pillow. Instead, Hannah made toast. Maya didn't eat. Still nothing from her parents. Then, finally, Hannah's phone rang again. "Mom." Hannah almost didn't answer. Not because she was scared, because she was tired. "Hi, sweetheart," Mom said, voice soft, almost syrupy. "How's Maya doing?" There it was, the performance. "She's shaken," Hannah said, "but she's okay." "Oh, thank God," Mom said. "See, she's fine. I told your father you'd call the police over nothing." "I didn't call the police," Hannah said. "A stranger did, because Maya was alone." "Well," Mom said, with a little laugh that landed like a slap, "you know how dramatic children can be, and she was safe. We left her in the shade." Hannah closed her eyes. "She was locked in a car," Hannah said, "for hours." "Hannah," Mom said sharply, sweetness evaporating, "don't exaggerate. You always do this. You blow things up and make us all look terrible." "Maya could have died," Hannah said. That was the wrong sentence. Mom inhaled audibly. "Don't say that. Don't be hysterical." "Hysterical," Hannah repeated. "Mom, the police are involved." "Yes," Mom snapped. "And do you have any idea what you've done?" There it was, the real conversation. "Tessa is retraining to be a teacher," Mom said. "She works with children. Do you know what something like this could do to her record, to her future?" "Then all of you should have thought about that before you left my child in a car," Hannah said. "Stop being so self-righteous," Mom shot back. "Nothing bad actually happened." "Nothing bad happened because someone else intervened," Hannah said. "Not you, not Tessa." Silence. Then, lower, dangerous. "You need to fix this." "What do you mean?" "You need to tell them you were there. It was your car. You're the mother. It makes sense." Hannah laughed. Hannah couldn't help it. It came out short and sharp and a little unhinged. "You want me to lie," Hannah said. I want you to protect your family, Mom said. Tessa cannot have this on her record. I'm not doing that, Hannah said. I'm telling the truth. Mom's voice went cold. You're going to ruin your sister's life over nothing. This isn't nothing, Hannah said. You endangered my daughter. There was a pause. Then the words dropped, heavy and practiced. If you do this, Mom said, you are not my daughter anymore. If you go through with this, don't call us parents. Hannah didn't respond. Do you hear me? Mom demanded. I hear you, Hannah said, and then Hannah hung up. Hannah stood there for a moment, phone still in her hand, waiting for something to happen inside her. Grief, panic, regret. What Hannah felt instead was relief. Mark came into the kitchen quietly. Mark took one look at Hannah's face and stopped. They told me I'm not their daughter anymore, Hannah said. Hannah let out a short breath. I think they're right. Mark didn't argue. Mark didn't try to comfort Hannah out of it. Mark just nodded once. Okay, Mark said. That was all Hannah needed. Hannah opened her laptop and logged into her bank account. The transfers were all there, lined up neatly. Mortgage help, monthly support, little lines of money that said, I'll fix this. Hannah canceled every single one. No message, no explanation, just gone. Afterward, fear crept in, late and unwelcome. What if they lied? What if they tried to pin this on Hannah? So Hannah called a lawyer. Mr. Carlyle listened without interrupting, then said, You did the right thing calling. Save everything. Messages, photos, anything that shows who was responsible. Hannah looked over at Maya, curled up on the couch, thumb in her mouth, for the first time since she was 3. I will, Hannah said. That night, Hannah sat beside Maya again, watching her sleep. This wasn't just about what happened in that parking lot. It was about what happened every time Hannah was expected to absorb the consequences so everyone else could stay comfortable. Tomorrow, Hannah would tell the truth. And for once, Hannah wasn't afraid of what would happen if she did. Hannah didn't sleep. Hannah lay there listening to Maya breathe, counting the seconds between inhales. Every time Maya shifted, Hannah's body snapped awake, ready to fight an invisible enemy. By morning, fear had burned itself out and left something cleaner behind. Focus, Mr. Carlyle had said, save everything, so that's what Hannah did. Hannah made coffee she didn't drink and opened her laptop like she was clocking in for a job she'd never applied for. First, messages. The family chat was a museum of casual decisions. We'll take Maya with us. Can we borrow your car? Ours is full. We've got her. So normal. So damning. Hannah screenshot everything. Dates, times, names. Hannah didn't editorialize. Hannah didn't add commentary. Hannah just preserved reality exactly as it existed before anyone realized it might need rewriting. Then social media. Tessa's page was a highlight reel of joy. Smiling faces, plates of food, location tags so precise they might as well have come with GPS coordinates. Noah had posted a story, something blurry and enthusiastic, the way 12-year-olds document happiness. Grace's face popped up in a photo with ice cream smeared across her cheek. Maya wasn't in any of them. Hannah sat back and let that settle. The absence wasn't subtle. It was a hole shaped exactly like her daughter. Hannah sent the files to herself, labeled them neatly. Proof has a way of calming you down when nothing else will. At the station the next day, everything was beige and humming and aggressively neutral. Officer Daniels met Hannah with the same expression he'd worn in the hospital. Professional, careful, unreadable. This will be recorded, he said. Take your time. Hannah did. Hannah told them where she was, who had Maya, why they had Hannah's car, what had been agreed to. Hannah didn't dramatize it. Hannah didn't soften it. Hannah said left alone instead of forgotten, because words matter. When Hannah explained the phone call, her mother's voice turning sharp, the the demand that Hannah take responsibility, the threat. Hannah watched Officer Daniels' pen slow. Hannah slid the screenshots across the table. "Those are the messages," Hannah said, "and the posts." Officer Daniels looked through them carefully. No reaction, no commentary, just documentation, which is its own kind of judgment. "I want to be clear," Hannah said. "I'm not protecting them. I want accountability." Officer Daniels nodded. "We'll review everything." That was it. No dramatic declaration, no reassurance, just process. Outside, the air felt different, lighter, or maybe Hannah was. When Hannah got home, Maya was drawing at the kitchen table, tongue poked out in concentration. Maya looked up when Hannah walked in. "Did you tell them?" Maya asked. "Yes," Hannah said. "I told them." Maya considered this, then went back to her picture. That was enough for her. Kids are efficient that way. 3 days later, Hannah's doorbell rang. Hannah knew who it was before she looked. Mom, Dad, Tessa, all standing there like they'd rehearsed it, like this was an intervention and Hannah was the one with the problem. "We just want to see Maya," Mom said, as if she hadn't disowned Hannah less than a week earlier. "She's not available," Hannah said. Tessa scoffed. "You're really doing this?" "I'm really doing this." Dad shifted his weight. "Can we talk like adults?" That phrase, always a threat disguised as reason. "I am talking like an adult," Hannah said. "You're standing on my porch." They came inside anyway, or maybe Hannah let them. It's hard to tell when you stop feeling obligated and start feeling curious. "You canceled the transfer," Mom said. "Yes." Dad's face tightened. "That money was for the mortgage." "I know," Tessa crossed her arms. "So now you're punishing everyone." "I'm responding to what happened." "You're blowing this out of proportion," Mom said. "Nothing really happened." Hannah laughed. It slipped out before she could stop it. Dry, sharp humor as a pressure valve. "My daughter was found by a stranger knocking on a window," Hannah said. "That's something." Tessa rolled her eyes as she was never in danger. "You don't get to decide that after the fact," Hannah said. Mom leaned forward. "We said things we didn't mean. You told me I wasn't your daughter anymore." "Well," Mom said, waving a hand, "you were being impossible." Maya peeked around the corner. Mark stepped in front of her without a word. "This conversation is over," Mark said. Tessa laughed again. "See? Drama." Something settled in Hannah then. Not anger. Recognition. "This isn't new," Hannah said. "This is what you've always done." They stared at Hannah. "Remember your birthday party?" Hannah asked Tessa. "The one where I was locked in the storage room?" Mom frowned. "That was years ago." "You locked me in," Hannah said to Tessa. "I told them. You denied it. And I got punished." "That's not how it happened," Tessa said automatically. "It is," Hannah said. "And now you left my daughter behind so you could enjoy yourself. And when it caught up with you, you tried to make it my fault." Dad opened his mouth, closed it. Hannah didn't raise her voice. Hannah didn't need to. "You don't get access to Maya," Hannah said. "Not now, not later, and you don't get my silence." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "You're tearing this family apart." "No," Hannah said. "I'm stepping out of the role you gave me." Tessa stared at the floor. Hannah walked them to the door. No shouting, no final speech. Just a boundary so solid it felt like relief. After they left, Hannah locked it. Maya climbed into Hannah's lap and pressed her face into Hannah's shoulder. "Are we okay?" Maya asked. "Yes," Hannah said, and for the first time, it wasn't a promise Hannah was hoping to keep. It was a fact. 3 months later, life looks different in ways Hannah didn't expect. The case ran its course. Mom, Dad, and Tessa were each charged with misdemeanor child endangerment. No jail time, but probation, fines, mandatory safety, and parenting courses, and a permanent record. The kind that doesn't disappear just because you're embarrassed by it. For the first time, the truth didn't get smoothed over. It stayed where it belonged. Tessa's teaching plans ended before they ever really began. Because she was still in training, her placement was terminated immediately. As part of the outcome, she's barred from working with children for 5 years. Not forever, but long enough that the path she was counting on no longer exists. Hannah didn't hear any of this from them. Hannah's been no contact since the day they showed up at her door. No calls, no messages, no attempts to explain or minimize. Hannah found out through official paperwork and other people filling in the gaps. That distance made it easier to accept reality without anyone trying to rewrite it. Without Hannah's financial support, Mom and Dad had to cancel the retirement trip they'd been planning for years. They're still in the house for now, but things are tight. Knowing that hurts, but it no longer feels like something Hannah needs to fix. What matters most is Maya. Maya sleeps through the night again. She laughs easily. She stopped apologizing for things that aren't her fault. In therapy, when asked what makes her feel safe, she answered simply, "My mom always comes back." That was enough. As for Hannah, life is quieter, lighter. Hannah didn't lose a family. She let go of a role she was never supposed to have. So tell us, did Hannah go too far? Or did Hannah finally go far enough? Let us know in the comments, and subscribe for more.